One day I came home from work and I stopped at my mom's house and went to her garage and I was like, can I take that bike out for a spin? They was like, sure, take the bike out. I took the bike out and rode the bike, and it was just something that just came over me. Like I just felt like a kid again. This hoop, I call it a hoopty bike. The chain rings was falling off of it and everything. I had to tighten everything up just to get it moving, put some anti tires. It just felt so free. It's just something that just came over me. Like I hadn't felt that in a long time.
Joining us in the studio today is an American cycling ambassador and race team manager for the Getting It In cycling team. He's on a mission to get more cyclists like him out on the road. Please welcome Anthony Carter, aka Hey Mr. Carter. Hey Anthony.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing today?
Oh, good. So good to see you, man, and so glad we reconnected. It's been a while getting this scheduled, but we got you.
Yeah. We was having a little trouble getting it together. We was missing each other, but we got it together now.
Anthony, where are you calling in from today in the world?
I'm calling in from Waldorf, Maryland. Yeah, Waldorf, Maryland, in the Washington D.C. area.
And is that home for you?
That's home for me. We got the best road. We got the best roads in the United States. I'm gonna brag on that. I'm gonna say we got the best roads.
Maybe not all year round, though. You got some cold months too, right?
Yeah. But that's where all the gains are made in the winter, when you make people slow down and they can't ride fast. So
Yeah.
winter is good for something.
Well, and like people say, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing, right?
There it is. You gotta have the best gear.
Hey, Anthony, you know the show, so let's just start from the basics. Where were you born?
I was born in Washington, D.C.
What did your parents do growing up?
My mom was actually a police officer. My dad worked in the government. So yeah, they was sustainable parents doing what they had to do.
You got any brothers or sisters?
I have a ton of sisters and one younger brother. I have 4. I keep forget. I got so many sisters, I forget about it. But yeah, I have I'm the oldest out of all the kids.
Any of you guys close in age? Did you grow up sort of playing together, or are you all spread out?
Yeah, for the most part, me and 3 of my sisters are close in age, and my other 3 siblings are a little bit younger. So I grew up kind of like not playing with them, but more hanging out with them. But yeah, me and my 2 sisters, we're like close in age. They're like 2 years, then 3 years behind me. So yeah, they played with me a little. We got to hang out. I got to taunt them more than I got to taunt the others.
Anthony, what'd you guys do as kids growing up in terms of sports or activities? What were you into?
Oh, I was into basketball. Basketball hard. I love football, but I was more of a basketball player. Basketball was my thing. I started off, my dad started me off playing softball though. In DC, I grew up playing softball, but when I got the basketball in my hand, that was my true love right there.
Did you think or ever have a dream of being a pro basketball player?
Yeah, actually, who didn't? Everyone did. Once you get that ball in your hand, and I grew up in the era of watching Michael Jordan when Michael Jordan was becoming Michael Jordan. So yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure.
So growing up playing basketball, if that was your dream and your passion, how'd the bicycle come into your life? Did you ride at all as a kid?
Oh yeah. The bike was a form of, it wasn't a sport to us. It was more of a vehicle for transportation to get to my friend's house, to get to the playground. We did do tricks and things like that, built ramps and jump ramps. And I used to do wheelies on bike. I actually used to be one of the best guys in my neighborhood doing wheelies. I could do wheelies with one hand, up hills, turn corners. And, we used to go on the dirt paths and, get chased by dogs and things like that. So the cycling, to us, it wasn't known as cycling. It was just riding a bike. So
Right.
That's all we thought it was just riding a bike. I never viewed riding a bike as a sport until I got older.
And would you say that today you view it both as a means of transportation and a sport?
Yes, definitely. I look at the bicycle as a sport, a means of transportation, and a way to decompress. Like cycling has been I call cycling my fountain of youth. Since I've been back to the bike, and now what I call cycling and not biking, it's like a stress reliever. Like you get to go on these rides and you just get to zone out and just see the world. Like I used to try to run, but if you run for if just say 30 minutes, you run for 30 minutes, it's so far you're gonna get, but you ride a bike for 30 minutes, you're gonna see a whole lot more. So once I started cycling and getting on that bike and just getting out and venturing, I was like, yeah, this is where it's at.
Well, but that was older in life. We'll get there. Let's stay in your childhood. Let's stay in school for a little bit. Were you a good student? And what kind of things do you like in school?
Yeah, I was a good student. I didn't get into much trouble that I didn't have to get into. I mean, I was the typical young boy, not listening, get into arguments here and there. I got good grades. But yeah, we used to go to school, get out of school, and everybody hop on their bikes, and we used to ride our bikes to the we had this basketball court we like to go to. So we had to ride our bikes to the basketball court through wooded trails. It wasn't like a trail that was made to be ridden through. It was just a walkway that made it a shortcut to get to the basketball court. So we used to ride our bikes to the basketball court and go out there and play the other neighborhoods. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the bike was always a means for transportation to get me to the basketball court, which I was loved. So I didn't look at the cycling. I just look at getting to the basketball court to play basketball.
All right. So you're not an NBA star. You
Hmm.
didn't make it to the NBA.
Hmm.
What was your path sort of coming out of high school into a career? What did you do sort of first out of high school?
First out of high school, I was working at the post office. Post office. Yeah, I worked at the post office. I worked at a clothing store. I worked at department stores, working at different clothing stores and things like that, retail. So I was more into sales and things like that. I still played basketball. I played on a not a we call it like a pro amateur league. I played in the pro am games out here with pros and amateurs in the summers and things like that. Uh, Stayed on the local circuit playing ball, having fun with the local people. But as far as career wise, I just worked retail jobs, ended up getting a job at a post office, uh, worked a job at Terminex. It was doing pest control. I started a little bit of entrepreneurship. I started making clothing at one point. I was throwing parties. So I think I'm like a well-rounded journeyman, kind of like did it all, work for others and work for myself, learn how to work for myself and work for others. Yeah.
Did you bypass the whole university thing and just go through the school of life, or did you enroll in a university somewhere?
No, I didn't go. I didn't enroll in any universities. I just was working to make a living. Uh, I was a teenage father, so I had to raise my daughter. So I was just working, just making sure I could provide for her. So yeah, I was a teenage dad, so working was essential for me.
Yeah. How many kids do you have now?
Now I have four, and I'm married now, and as a combined parent, we have seven total.
Ooh, seven. Well, I
Yes.
guess you came from a big family too,
Yeah, yeah,
so
I did come from a big
that
family. Yeah,
that's what you knew. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
If you were to fill out a job application and they were to say, what's your current profession? How do you answer that to people? If someone comes and meets you on the street today and says, what's your job or what do you do? What do you tell people?
I'm gonna tell them I'm a professional cyclist. I'm a professional cyclist and a serial entrepreneur, but I'm definitely
Awesome.
like I brag about me being a professional cyclist, and when people say professional, they're usually thinking of when you say professional, any type of professional athlete, they only look at it at one level, like the top level of LeBron James or so. But being a professional in the sport is different levels to it, and I'm not at a professional performance level, but I'm at a professional level of what we call cycling, of getting people on bikes and things like that. I'm a professional uh community activist for cycling. There you go.
Yeah, I love it. And you fill a really important void, right? Which is getting people that are interested in cycling onto bikes that don't want to race because racing isn't everything in our sport, right? Or our industry.
No, no, definitely not. I mean, racing is one aspect of it. And it feeds the people the competitive side of everyone. But it's more people that like getting on bikes and just enjoying the ride. And fellowshipping and meeting people, starting new sisterhoods, brotherhoods, and bigger families. The cycling is like reaching everyone. Like it draws into people that you probably wouldn't usually talk to throughout your day or throughout your life. You know, we go on group rides and you might be riding with doctors, police officers, firemen, nurses, hairstylists, just people will all different walks of life. And when we ride, we don't talk about our careers. We just go out and ride and talk about cycling. And then one day
Yeah.
we might have a conversation and you like, oh, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you was a surgical doctor. Yeah, I just get out here and just ride just to relax, just to kick it with you guys.
Although I know, Anthony, you've got a competitive bone in your body because is it you that started Trash Talking Thursdays?
It definitely was me that started Trash Talking Thursdays. It was originally Thursday hill training. And I came out and for me, I found a competitive side in cycling, which I had in basketball with the group that I was riding with for getting into cycling. So we was smack talking with each other. So on Thursdays, it was like I would run my little videos, like, yeah, I'm going out here. I'm gonna take this KO win right here. I'm gonna win the sprint, and I just started saying we trash talking Thursdays, and it just evolved and kept evolving to the point it was not only just trash talking Thursdays, we end up getting a championship belt where we wear the belt and we show whoever wins the sprint at the end gets to stand on the podium with the belt.
Did you get a custom like WWF belt made?
I did. I should have brought it with me. I actually had it
Oh,
with
that's
me,
okay.
but yeah. Follow me and you'll get to see the belt. We got a new belt coming this year. We had a black and gold belt. This year we're gonna do a white and gold belt. So yeah, look for the belt coming.
All right, Anthony, let's change gears like the title of the show is called. And I want to take you to a time when you're about 40, 42 years old and you got reintroduced to bikes. Tell me about that moment. What happened? Where were you? And what was it about the bike that just reinvigorated you?
So I had a job and I had a company driving trucks, and I used to sit in my dump truck in the mornings. And this guy used to work with us at this job site we was at, and he used to always ride his bike to the site and then go pick up his work truck and come out. And I used to have these conversations with him on the bike all the time. And then I was looking on my uh, Facebook and I would see my friends riding bikes. And at this time, I was just still trying to play a little ball, but knees was like killing me. I was kind of done with it. Trying to
Yeah.
run, same thing, knees just killing me, just couldn't do it. And I started contemplating like maybe I should try riding a bike or something. So a couple of guys I was playing basketball with was already riding bikes, and they was actually riding a dump truck with me too. I said, yeah, come on, get a bike. And this where the competitive side, because I used to beat this guy in basketball all the time. So now it's like, come get on the bike. And so he could beat me on the bike because he knew I wasn't riding the bike. So I kept contemplating it. And one day I came home from work and I stopped at my mom's house and went to her garage and I was like, can I take that bike out for a spin? They was like, sure, take the bike out. I took the bike out and rode the bike, and like it was just something that just came over me. Like I just felt like a kid again. This hoop, I call it a hoopty bike. The chain rings was falling off of it and everything. I had to tighten everything up just to get it moving, put some anti
Yeah.
ties. But it just felt so free. Like it's just something that just came over me. Like I hadn't felt that in a long time. And I took the bike out, rode the bike home, came back, and I was like, I'm going to get my hair cut. And I rode the bike to the barber shop, and the guys in the barber shop, oh, you ride bikes? We ride bikes. So I'm bumping into guys that's riding bikes, and I'm like, how did I miss this? But that was a start for me. But I mean, I was only riding like a mile or two at the time. They took me to a bike trail, and it's like, yeah, you can go down here as far as you want to come back. I rode down 3 miles, came back 3 miles. I did 6 miles. Like, yeah, I'm riding a bike. They say, no, the trail is 12 miles long. I was like, 12 miles. What's that? Yeah, so yeah, 12 miles was my goal to get to it. I had to do 24 if I wanted to get down there and get back. So I started with 6 miles was my longest ride. And then I had to build from there. So now I'm up to doing whatever I want to do, 100 miles plus. I don't go past 125, but 100 miles plus I'll go.
How do you go from discovering, sort of rediscovering the bike and that excitement to now being a sponsored rider? I mean, you got some lucrative deals, right? I mean, Pinarello and SRAM, like what's going on?
Um, that's the unreal part, and that's where me being a professional cyclist, I say, come into play. I I fell in love with Pinarello before Pinarello fell in love with me. I, that's a plug to say Pinarello loved me. But I branded myself Mr. Pinarello. I was riding another bike. I was riding in Cannondale, and I came into my local bike shop, Bike Doctor Wardorf at the time, with Chris Richardson, and I used to be in the bike shop all the time. So this me into leaving the dump truck business. Now I'm into doing a home based business, and I'm always on my computer. But I used to come to the bike shop and sit on my computer and watch him do bike fits, and they was building this bike, Pinarello F8. I'll never forget this bike, red and white with the first year SRAM ETAP came out, wireless shifting. And I'm watching them build this bike, and I got all these questions every day I come in. And then one day I come in, they got the bike complete and it's sitting on the rack. And Chris walks up to me, say, "Hey man, you want to take the F8 out for a spin?" I'm like, "You gonna give me the keys to the Ferrari?" So give him this 1 second. Hop in the car, go home, put a matching outfit on, and put my matching outfit on to the cyclists that I like. At this point, I'm starting to know who cyclists are, and I put his outfit on. Peter Sagan, his
Mhm.
outfit, but at this time I don't know mix and match, and anyway, he had a kit that matched the bike. I go get this bike. I go get this kit. I come back. I hop on this bike and I go for a ride, and it was just unreal. So when everything I put into the bike, it gave me back. So I pressed the pedals hard, the bike went faster. The harder I pressed the bike, it went faster. Came back, the shifting was amazing. That was my first time riding a bike with SRAM components. So the bike was super responsive. The bike was doing everything I wanted to do and more. I didn't have enough to give to the bike. So I get back and I was like, I don't know what I got to do, Chris, but I think this is the bike I need to be on. I need to be on a Pinarello. And from there on, he made it happen, helped me get on a Pinarello. And, I came out to my first group ride with my Pinarello, and I just left everyone. I ain't gonna say I left everyone in smoke, but I was apparently faster than I was before. And everyone wanted to know. They didn't believe it was me. It had to be the bike. So when I started riding the bike, everybody was like, "Well, if that bike made him that much faster, I'm going to get me a Pinarello and beat him." And we just started moving from there. Pinarellos was flying off the shelves.
So were you entering local races or were you just riding for pure pleasure?
I was riding strictly for pleasure. Me and Mark Wimbush, he's a guy that introduced me to getting in as cyclists, and we would just do these group rides and start animating the group rides and trash talking on the group rides and just pushing it up, pushing each other. And it got to the point where I was riding on group rides and racers was coming on the group rides, and I was riding with some of them, and some of them I was getting away from, and they was like, "Man, you should try to do a race." And I'm like, "Y'all race bikes? What is that?" Didn't
Yeah.
know what that was. Uh, so Mark was like, "Yeah, we should do a race, and then we're gonna join a race team." And I was like, "Well, let's go see what a race look like." Uh, he was like, "Yeah, we could do that." And then he was like, "No, it's a race this week. We're gonna do it." And we signed up and did the race. Our plans was to join another race team. It didn't work out the way we wanted it to work out. And me and him had a conversation, was like, "Well, we got a foundation right here with getting it in cyclists. Let's just form our own race team." And we formed our own race team at that point in 2015. I started riding with getting it in cyclists in March of 2015. By the end of that year, we started a race team, did 2 races with me and him and a couple other guys, and the race team was formed from there on. And here we are in 2023.
Tell us a little bit about Getting It In Cycling. What the heck is that organization? What do they do? Where are they based? Who started it? Tell us about them.
Getting it in cyclists is the largest cycling club on the East Coast, and think we might be the largest. I think we might be the largest one in the United States. You know, when you say club, a lot of clubs share members. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's nothing wrong with that. So we all share members, but I think getting it in might be to get the biggest club across the United States. We got members all over the United States. But we're based in Waldorf for the most part in the DMV area. Most of our rides come out of Brandywine, Waldorf. We kind of spread out through Virginia and everything, the DMV area. It was started by Lloyd Mason and Kimberly Mason. Those are the presidents, married couple of Getting It in Cyclists. And they had a vision of just putting on rides where people of the same interest, the same complexion and things like that could get started, because in our area, I don't think it was more, it was cycling going on, but we couldn't find each other and at that level. So they was trying to find people at that beginning stage level. So they started the group Getting It in Cyclists. Like, we get on a bike, we're getting it in. So now, okay, we gonna go get it in. So yeah, we're Getting It in Cyclists. And then it just started from there. And by the time I was introduced to the club, I want to say they maybe had about, I'm gonna say maybe 100 members. I think 100 members, because I think I'm 100. My membership is like 150. And our membership grew to over 500. You know, once I got my name branded with Getting It in, you know, I had a crew to really shout out. So while I was on my rampage of running around through Atlanta, New York, New Jersey, riding my bike everywhere I can go up and down the East Coast, I was screaming Getting It in Cyclists. We started making kits. Our kits were more vibrant than the regular cycling kits that, you know, people, when cycling first started cycling, all you see is black, red kits. We came with more vibrant kits. And, you know, everyone wanted to get our kits, so our membership was growing. We grew our meetup to over 5,000 members on our meetup. So when we do a ride for the weekend, our group rides for the weekend is usually over 100 cyclists.
Wow.
Yeah, easily.
You basically convinced the organization to start a race team, and you manage that team, right?
Yeah, me and Mark started the race team. Mark was the head of the show, and I was the backup guy. I'm gonna say I was the muscle for him, you know. Mark ended up having to step down from doing it because his daughter Maze, who became a national champion, he wanted to focus on her more. So he had to put more time into her and not the organization. So it kind of fell on my shoulders. So here's this guy with no real cycling background, trying to figure out how to build a race team. So, you know, Lloyd had a conversation with me. He was like, just do it your way and we'll figure out the rest. So we didn't do it right getting it started. We had a lot of hiccups, like most teams do. You know, the teams get built and fall apart, get built, fall apart. But in one of our reconstruction stages, the group that I have now, I was introduced to some amazing people that not only embraced my vision, but brought some of their vision to my vision, and it started to blossom. So now we have a race team of 50 members, about 50 members on a race team, and that's male and female. We brand ourselves on starting racers that have no experience, that have an idea that they want to race and want to give it a try. And we grow them into a serious competitive cyclist. So now we have 10, I want to say we birthed 10 Cat 3s total. And this year we'll get our first Cat 2.
Are these, you know, road racers, criterium racers? What type of, what discipline are you grooming these people into?
Road racing crit. And I'm easing some of them over to gravel too. Cause I do it all. You know, only thing I don't do is time trial, because I'm waiting for Pinarello to give me that TT bike. You know, it's hard to get.
But when you get it,
it's hard to get those in the United States. But you know, I'm rubbing my hands, making my prayers, talking to my genie.
Does that mean that a triathlon might be in your future?
You know, I always said I wasn't interested in that, but I would like to give it a try. But I mean, who wouldn't want to ride a time trial bike and get tucked in and get so aero and go 40 miles an hour down the road? Like, I can't wait to see how that feels. But yeah, I got to work on my swimming. The run got to be super short though. because I don't have the needs to do the running at all no more.
Well, a sprint tries 5K. Could you do
Oh
5K?
yeah, I can do 5K. Yeah, I can do 5K.
Do a sprint, man. We'll do it together.
Okay, let's do it.
Anthony, let's talk more about getting it in cycling. So, for the most part, I don't want to beat around the bush. I want to be really clear here. You talked about, people like you and the same complexion. We're really talking about more black cyclists,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, for sure.
And that's really what you're trying to do, and what you've done very successfully. It's incredible what the organization has grown and what you've done as an ambassador, right? Getting more black cyclists out on rides, right? Because the more any culture or race sees themselves doing something, right, the more open they are to trying it.
Yes.
How powerful has that been for you in the organization?
It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I know that what we're doing is working because it's so many clubs popping up. Like since COVID, it's like it was a boom in cyclists. But again, they didn't have a path to follow. And I think what Getting It In had put out there was enough to get people motivated and started, even from not just the club side, even the race side. So now, like when I go to Pennsylvania and I do a race, it's not just Getting It In showing up. You got Sora, you got all these different clubs, KRT, QRT clubs popping up everywhere. And when I talk to the people that's getting them started, we had these conversations and they was like, yeah, we seen what you were doing and we liked it. And a lot of the stuff you did, we mirrored it. And you know what I'm saying? And whatever we did that needed fixing, they fixed it and made it better. So every year in every club that's coming and growing, they're taking what we all are doing that we're doing right, and whatever we might have missed and did wrong, they fixing it, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and better. So now it's like, you know, it's not hard for me to go into another state and find someone to ride with. Not only do I
Right.
have a Getting It In member there, I got a different club that I done have extended family with that I get to ride with when I go out of town now.
I'm seeing a lot of different organizations forming that are doing similar things, whether it be in the Hispanic community or the indigenous community. Maybe it's just women. There's a lot of organizations that are mirroring the model,
Mhm.
right, that you guys have created. What's your position on like total inclusion? Like including other races or cultures in getting it in. Is there a fine line there? And how do you address someone who might be from a different race or culture that wants to
Oh,
participate?
no, it's Getting In There Cycling is not a black only cycling club. No, no, by far, no. No, we have all races, all genders, everything. We have everyone in Getting It In Cyclists. You know what I'm saying? Getting It In Cyclists was started to put us together, but it has grown to keep cyclists together. You know what I'm saying? Getting it
Yeah.
in cyclists. You know what I'm saying? It's not getting it in black cyclists, getting it in cyclists. When we cycling is not owned by a color or a gender or, whatever. Cycling is just people enjoying being on bikes. So, no, Getting in cyclists is for everyone. Our clubs are run by more women than anything. The women keep the guys coming out to ride the bikes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we got a lot of women on our team racing and riding fast, doing the group rides, hosting rides, uh, putting together events. So yeah, women run the world. So they definitely the backbone of what we do at Getting It In Cyclists. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
not it's not just
Awesome.
it's not just brown cyclists or black cyclists. It's everyone. My best friend that I ride with all the time, Juan, the Matador. Everyone knows him. He's always beside me. That's my Latino buddy. So me and him, we thick as thieves together.
Anthony, if you could be critical for a moment on the bike industry, I'd be curious, what are some of the challenges that you might have, either seen or witnessed of the bike industry and their engagement or hospitality of you or your club?
Um, when it comes to hospitality, um, we haven't seen any issues because we've been a self-contained unit. Like we do for ourselves. We get it done as our own. Um, but like trying to do bigger events and make the East Coast more like the West Coast, right? When
Yeah.
we see what's going on the West Coast, all the bike sponsors are out there on the West Coast, backing all the events, all the races, all the group rides, the fondos and things like that. So it's none of that here on the East Coast. And that's what we're trying to draw to our side. And that's what we're working on, drawing all that to our side. So we've been like working with brands like Pinarello, who's definitely investing with us, Pedal Mafia, now SRAM, uh, Boyd, Pedal Mafia, I would say Pedal, 100% Cast. We got different brands that's starting to open their eyes to what's going on in the East Coast, and we can make these events over here just as big as in the West Coast. Like you got the Sea Otter on the West Coast about to happen next week. It's no event like that on the East Coast, you know what I'm saying? And we have
Yeah.
beautiful roads and things like that on the East Coast. So, just to have all the vendor events and things going on the West Coast, it shouldn't be like that. It should be some on the East Coast. So that way, because it's money being made over here through these brands, people riding bikes all up and down the East Coast. So yeah,
Are you bringing a getting it in team to Sea Otter?
not this year. So this year will be my first year attending Sea Otter, and a lot of people on the East Coast don't even understand or know what Sea Otter is, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I didn't find out about Sea Otter till last year. So now it's like, okay, this year I'm gonna be a part of it so I can see what's actually going on and see if we can get us something on the East Coast that's similar to that, or get the guys from Sea Otter to come over here to the East Coast and do the same thing. But if they don't do it, like I said, we're a self-contained unit. We'll get it done ourselves.
It would be cool to have a Sea Otter East.
Yeah. Yeah. We last year we started our own event called the Backyard Boogie, and that's a 3-day weekend of not just we tried to make something different. Like most clubs and stuff, or people that's doing things, you have an event or a race, and that's what it is. So we have a 3-day weekend. On Friday, we do an introduction to cycling where we put a panel up and we have professional cyclists or just community people talking and answering questions, a mechanic, professional mechanic, to break down cycling with people. So it's a sit down and we do skills and drills with people that come out. It's more of an introduction to cycling and helping people with a short ride. Then we do like a small little cookout. Saturday we don't want to call it a fondo because people get scared of fondo, because when you think fondo, they think 100 miles. So for Saturday, we do a group ride. So we do a big group ride. We have a larger ride, a medium ride, and a short ride. And then Sunday, to cap it all off, we have a race where the racers get to race, and people that want to try racing, we have a smaller field for new racers, new when I say what I want to say, people that's thinking about racing, want to give it a shot. So then they come try it out. So they'll be amongst their own peers of people at that level and not be intimidated by the other racers. So they get to do a race and they get to watch a race, because most people hear about races but don't get to attend them. So we put
Right.
out our own criterion system. So we got a 3-day weekend of covering all bases of cycling for the most part.
Anthony, there was this big crit race in Miami last weekend
Yeah,
called the NCL.
right.
Did you follow it?
Yeah, I did follow it a little bit. Yeah, it was awesome. That was awesome.
What do you think? What do you think about what they're doing? They're going to host 4 events this year, sort of a closed circuit, 10 teams, men and women. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I mean, the more exposure and the more events we do, the more we can attract more people to be on bikes. Like every sport that people do, if they have any injury, the first thing their doctor or their therapist tell them to do is you need to go get on a bike and pedal a bike.
Yeah.
It's the fastest road to recovery. So if it's the fastest road to recovery, it's something about being on that bike that they're not, that we all need to be doing. It's a no impact and you can work your heart, your legs, everything, So yeah, we got to get more people on bikes. Yeah. So with them doing those events, more competitive events, that's awesome. So it's attracting more competitive people. It's bringing out more teams, So I'm with it 100%. I got to figure out, so
It,
we got to get our skill level up to get to that level.
if my memory serves me right, I think they're doing a race in Atlanta
Hmm.
and DC
Hmm.
and Denver next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there'll be an NCL event just down the street from you soon.
Yeah. But I think they got to figure out what their skill level is. That they
Yeah,
per-
it's pretty high.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
pretty high.
yeah. So
Yeah.
which is awesome, but at the same time, like, you got to have something for the amateurs. You know, like I don't know how many professional cyclists as a professional level there is in the United States, but like for the most of us, we're just like weekend warriors. I want to say we're weekend warriors. So
Yeah.
the bigger base of racing in every community or every state when they racing is the amateurs, the amateur circuit. If you do
Check out the website. I think they have an amateur category.
okay, yeah, well, we definitely gonna be in it then.
Let's change gears a little bit and talk about challenges. What are some of your current challenges in growing either the race team or just the rider base in getting it in? What are some obstacles or barriers or challenges?
My biggest challenge is getting more women. The guys I can kind of get to bite into it easier. It's the women that I have the biggest challenge of convincing them that this racing would be something that they would enjoy. But I can get them on a bike with no problem and do easier events, but getting them to race, because most of the time when people think about racing, they always think about falling. People always go straight to the negative of it. Um, but my biggest challenge is getting more women. Like we have a large women's race team and in our own right, and it's kind of been influencing more women to start racing. So I think it's growing, but our biggest challenge is getting more women on the bike and getting them into more events and having more events for them. So where we have, uh, say, a men's amateur side of racing, you have a Cat 5 race, you have a Cat 4 race. In women, you got to mix the 4 5s together, and then sometimes the field is so small that you got to mix the 1 2 3s with the 4 5s, and they don't get
Right.
a fair shot of racing. So
Right.
just keeping it separated, no matter how small the field is, just keeping it separated so they have a fair shot to give it all they have.
What about gravel? Is gravel starting to grow in your area?
Gravel is growing. The, the only part about gravel that's hard for some of us is finding a gravel road. So most of the gravel is maybe an hour and a half, 2 hour ride to get to it. So that comes with a challenge. If you live close to gravel, it's easier for you to just hop on your bike and get out and go. So where we're used to cycling now, where we just get on our bikes, walk out the door, get on our bikes and go for a ride, trying to find gravel is a little bit more challenging. But I always encourage people to take that challenge, because riding gravel takes you on a whole nother adventure. Like it's a whole nother world out there that you get to see riding the back roads on gravel. Like you get to cross over rivers and creeks and lakes, and you hear where the trees are growing, the tree, like in the fall, the trees are changing colors. You get to see so much different things. And there's no traffic on gravel roads, hardly any traffic. You might see horses on gravel roads. You riding past a group of people riding horses, and you stop and watch the horses, like, oh, I ain't gonna see this on the road. Yeah. So yeah, gravel is the new thing. I always tell people, if you like gravel and you like road riding on the road, it's better to get you a gravel bike. That way, all you have to do is change your tires, and you could do them both.
Do you think that there's a certain amount of riders that are also just afraid of cars and gravel is a bit easier because there's no cars?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the concrete jungle is one thing. You got cars buzzing by you. It's more relaxing to go out and ride on gravel, like you said, with no cars around. You just get to enjoy the scenery. Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk about community investments or community projects. One of the big pieces of this show is talking about athlete partners like yourself and your accomplishments on the bike, but also what are you doing off the bike to make this world a better place? And I know you've got some really cool projects that you're involved in personally and professionally. Let's start with Coach Carter Cares. And what's Coach Carter Cares and what's that all about and what do they do?
Yeah. Coach Carter Cares is Coach Carter's Cares Clinics is something that Pinarello helped me organize what I was already doing. So I used to do these winter trainings with cyclists. That's how I got people ready to race and things like that, or people that just want to improve over the winter. So the clinics help dialing in more throughout the year, where I'll do so many clinics at the local bike shops or at an event where we get to sit down and talk about cycling. I get to have a more in deep detailed conversation with people on how I'll have a mechanic there, how to work on your bike, how to make sure your bike is maintenance right. Then we work on how to ride safer, or if you're in a certain situation where you cross a wheel or something like that, how do you regroup from that? If
Right.
just helping people understand the basis of cycling in a small closed setting versus them having to figure out and learn how to do it out on the road. So it's more of a more intimate training time.
Got it. That's a lot of C's. Coach Carter Cares Clinics, almost like a tongue twister,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, the four
but I
C's.
like it. Do you have a logo like the four C's or something like
I'm
that?
working on one. I can't figure out how to put it together. So if anybody got any ideas, come on, reach out to me. Let's make it happen.
What about, I know you're also like kids is a big thing for you, right?
Yes.
Getting more kids on bikes is a big deal, whether it be boys or girls, but getting kids on bikes is big. I know that. You've also got a foundation that you're working on for even smaller kids,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
I'm working on getting my foundation together. My goal this year is to get 100 kids on bikes. I started doing this about 2 years ago. I would have a bike and I would find bikes and just give bikes away to different. At this point, I was giving to people that's interested in racing. My first bike I gave away, and I just told them, if you get to a point you want to get you a new bike, just don't sell my bike. Either give it back or pass it forward to someone else.
Right.
So I took that
Right.
same concept and was like, let me go help these kids get on bikes, you know what I'm saying? So they could start pedaling at a younger age, and then they'll get to see someone that's enjoying life riding a bike. Even though I'm an adult to them, they probably won't pay me any mind. But one of these kids is going to remember that this group of cyclists came in and gave me a bike, and they was doing these things on bikes. So it might be a seed that's planted. But the more kids I can get on bike, that's more active kids I'm help create out there for them to come outside, enjoy being outside, not be sitting in the house behind a computer playing video games. The more kids I get bikes, the more kids I get outside enjoying life. So this year I'm working on getting 100 bikes. I got an event coming up at the beginning of May where I'm giving out 5 bikes to 5 kids at a school, at elementary school, and my goal is to keep finding kids, and I don't want to just have bikes and just passing out randomly. I want kids doing their best in class and school, and the principal and things reaching out to us and it's like, I got these number of kids that's excelled in their classes, and we think we should reward them. So would you mind help giving them a bike? And that's what we're going to be doing.
If there was a listener out there that was interested in helping or, donating, what kinds of things do you need beyond money?
Mhm.
Are there things that other people could help you with for either the foundation or Coach Carter Cares Clinic?
Um, we can use everything, if you have access to equipment like bikes and things like that, helmets, for kids, we want to give them elbow pads, we want to keep them safe because they're gonna fall. So some of them
Yeah.
might be just learning how to ride a bike, so they're gonna be on training wheels, so it's gonna be, bumps and bruises or something. So helmets, you know, elbow pads, knee pads, yeah, maybe some cool water bottles or, anything make it cool for a kid, bells and whistles and whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But with
That's
the with
awesome.
the with the Coach Carter Cares clinics, where most of these clinics I'm doing, we be pertaining to adults, participation, tell someone about it. or come join it yourself. The more the merrier.
The age range that you're focused on here, is it sort of pre-teen?
For the bikes,
Yeah, for
yeah,
either the foundation or the clinics. Are you talking about, under 18, right?
yeah. For the foundation is definitely under 18.
Yeah.
For the clinics, I'm usually coming into I'm usually dealing with more adults in the clinics. But
Yeah.
but as I start building a bigger base with the preteens, that's when I'll start doing more clinics with them.
Well, that's awesome. I love that you're doing that. And, the future is all about investing in kids, right?
Yes.
So if we don't invest in kids, they're the future generation of pro cyclists and community ambassadors. So
Yes, for
it's
sure.
great what you're doing.
For sure.
All right, Anthony, we are almost out of time, but we got one last section of the show, which is called This or That,
Mhm.
where I throw 15 different things at you and we just see what you
Let's
like.
go. Let's go. Let's do
You
it.
ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes,
Coffee or tea?
coffee,
Tacos or burritos?
tacos,
Spicy or mild?
mild.
Cold weather or hot weather?
Can I go in the middle?
Sure.
Middle.
Sure.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Rain or snow?
Snow. I like snow better.
If you go in the middle, it's just sleet, right?
Don't want that. I'd rather take
No. All right. Mountains or the beach?
beach,
Cities or suburbs?
suburbs.
Cars or trucks?
I'm a truck guy.
Pavement or dirt?
Pavement is faster.
Gloves or gloveless?
Gloves,
Clipped in or flat pedals?
clipped in. Full pedal rank.
Yeah, you got to be clipped in. Low pressure or high pressure in your tires?
Low pressure.
Good answer. Fix it yourself or take it to a mechanic?
I got to go to a mechanic.
Last question, dogs or cats?
I like them both. I'm cool with either one.
All right.
I'm cool
All
with
right.
either one.
Well, Anthony Carter, or Hey, Mr. Carter, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time, for sharing your story, for doing what you do, getting more people out on bikes. That is a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this.
We appreciate it too. Thanks for being a great ambassador and spokesperson.
I appreciate it.
All right, man.
All
Have a
right.
good one.
You too.